Where do you think this is? The answer is the Taklimakan Desert. You're not mistaken. In China's largest desert, known as the Sea of Death, a great river has carved out a waterway. Where it flows, yellow sand gives way to green oases. This is Xinjiang's Tarim River, China's longest inland river. Unlike most rivers in the world, it's far from reaching the ocean. But as a true desert river, its length surpasses the Huai and even the Pearl River. It's the mother river to 12 million people. What's the story of this legendary river? It's a real battle against the desert, with one goal: to defy nature and survive. But this struggle began with nature's challenge. From afar, Tarim River is in Asia's interior, over 1,500 kilometers from any ocean. Water vapor rarely reaches here. Closer, the Tarim Basin is surrounded by mountains. It gets only 117 mm of rain annually, just 1/10 of Yangtze Basin, 1/6 of national average. Worse, most areas have 2,000 mm evaporation rate, making it even harder for the river. Alone, this river wouldn't stand a chance. But help comes from thousands of miles away. The Pamir Plateau, father of glaciers, aids it. Centered on Mustar, the main Tian Shan peak, glaciers flow down, feeding the river. Scattered, rushing glaciers cover hundreds of square kilometers in the Kunlun Mountains. The Yarkand Glacier stretches endlessly. Alpine glaciers in the Tarim River Basin account for nearly half of the nation's glaciers. They stand silent, ready to move. Every summer's arrival brings scorching sun to the glacier's edge, accelerating ice and snowmelt. Rain gathers into 144 rivers, rushing from south, north and west towards the driest desert lands, providing most yearly water in 4 months. Yet the long journey proves tragic. Most rivers fail to reach their end. After leaving the mountains, they can't withstand desert evaporation. Many disappear halfway through only Yarkand, Aksu and Hotan rivers. These 3 mighty streams surge through until reaching Ala in Xinjiang, becoming the main inland river. From here it begins, carrying hopes from distant mountains on a lonelier journey ahead. Facing its destined foe, Taklimakan, no backup, it grows stronger. Tarim River finds, despite harsh conditions, a resilient tree thrives everywhere. People call it Populus Euphragtica. Born to fight against drought, its roots reach 20 meters down and spread 10 meters horizontally as long as the mother tree's roots. With water, lakes and oceans thrive. Wide rivers create more life. Desert riverbeds are soft, easily eroded. Rivers meander wildly in these areas. At extremely curved river sections, bends face constant water impact until floods straighten the curve. The old river course is abandoned, forming an oxbow lake. Summer floods bring raging waters overflowing, even changing course, nourishing larger desert areas. Low areas form small lakes. River flow decreases, speeds up. Flow speed increases. River flow accelerates and can rise again. Today's Tarim River Basin houses the world's largest natural poplar forest, with reeds, distant red willows and shrubs along the banks. A green corridor spans tens of kilometers on both shores, so even from a planetary perspective, you can easily spot the Tarim River's location. It and its tributaries form an oasis that isn't engulfed by the world's second largest moving desert, but instead became a green wall surrounding the desert. These oases provide people with an invaluable habitat. In ancient times, they were Tuchi, Gumo, Shule, Shache, Yutian, and other western regions' 36 states. They link together to form the Silk Road. Today, they're known for Aksu apples, kola pears, Hotan jujubes, and China's cotton, wheat, and peppers. It also formed a link connecting the Eurasian continent and made the Tarim River a long river of cultural diversity. However, the Tarim River's struggle didn't end there. As population grew, water demand rapidly increased. Wasteful water use gradually overwhelmed the river flow. By the 1970s, the Tarim's lower reaches began drying up for hundreds of miles. This drought lasted 30 years. As the river retreated, the desert advanced. By the 21st century, riverside poplar forests halved oases on both banks neared collapse. Sadly, the Tarim, once victorious over harsh conditions, now seemed helpless. Climate limits its water supply. Despite a basin half the size of the Yangtze, its flow is just 0.5% of the Yangtze's. The Tarim River spans over 1,000 kilometers. Tarim Basin has done its best. It needs new allies. On June 16th, China built the world's first desert-circling railway. If you start from Ruoqiang and follow the railway, soon you'll cross from vast desert to another world. Here's Lake Taitama, the Tarim Basin's endpoint. Indeed, Tarim Basin used its last strength to create this beautiful water area. And this is today's Lop Nur, a famously desolate death zone. Can you imagine? Just over 20 years ago, Lake Taitama looked like this too. Back then, Tarim's water had nearly vanished. Downstream sluices were sealed for 30 years. To revive Taitama and downstream rivers, new water sources had to be found. So, since 2000, Peacock, Yarkand, Aksu, and Hotan rivers crossed mountains to arrive, bringing water to lower Tarim Basin. But this is just a stopgap. Tarim faces drought. Water scarcity. Once scarce, people must find ways to conserve water. In mountain areas, dams rise from the ground like the Artash Dam on the Yarkand River. It blocks 21 cubic meters water with 164.8 m height, called Xinjiang's Three Gorges ending. Yarkand River's floods for good, with Hotan's Uruwati, Aksu's Stone Gorge, and dams in many tributary canyons. They prevent floods, store excess water. For irrigation needs compared to plain reservoirs, mountain ones lose less to evaporation, saving more precious water resources. And this is just the start. Water-rich areas hold hidden potential. All gates automated to save water, precisely controlling canal water flow. All channels improved to prevent leaks, reducing water loss in transit. Traditional flooding in fields replaced by drip and spray irrigation tech, saving a third of irrigation water yearly. The basin's now fully armoured, a complete water-saving system just like that. The Tarim River brings new life. As of the end of 2023, the lower Tarim River has received nearly 10 billion cubic meters of eco-water, about 60 Tian Shan heavenly lakes. Except for one extremely dry year. It has never run dry since once dry for 30 years. The riverbed not only regained life but became a unique desert site, while ensuring ecological water use. southern Xinjiang's farmland area has doubled over decades. Just in 2023, of the nation's new grain output, 1/3 came from Xinjiang, China's driest province, became the new northwest granary. The water saved also allowed for more growth in industry and urban areas in Korla, Kashgar, and Aksu. These oasis cities in the desert now form a new Tarim Basin belt. The GDP of the Tarim River Basin has also doubled in a decade, half of Xinjiang's economy. So, did Tarim win this desert war?